Hi, I'm Matt, and I want to share some important information about your legal right of privacy and secrecy for being a client of mine. You have the absolute right to know that anything you tell me as your attorney regarding your case is a secret. Any information you give me is protected by the attorney-client privilege. Our attorney-client relationship creates a very distinct, invaluable right for you. You have the right to tell me anything about you and your case and know that what you share with me is protected from being disclosed to any other person or third party, including the insurance company's lawyers and even the government. I want you to feel safe when you talk to me about your case. I want you to feel free from any fear that your secrets can be forcibly revealed by either of us. This is because the law says, since you're my client, you and I should be able to speak frankly and openly about you and your case. As your attorney, I need you to tell me any and all the information you may have so I can fully and fairly represent you. We share a zone of privacy. What you and I talked about is safe and protected. The attorney-client privilege applies the same way in your personal injury or wrongful death case as it does in a criminal case. I could talk a long time about the importance of your attorney-client privilege, but the reason I made this video is to be able to share a special tool that I created to help you help me win your case. I've designed and written and created a personal injury journal. Your journal has been written by me to protect what you share with me as privileged information. There can be no confusion that I specifically asked you to keep track of your case for me for a legal reason, because if you on your own decide to keep a personal diary or some written documentation about your injuries, the insurance defense lawyer may ask and force you to produce your personal diary. However, when I ask you to keep a diary to share with me as your attorney, then anything I ask you to write down or tell me, we will keep as private and it's protected under the umbrella of the attorney-client privilege. To help maintain our attorney-client privilege, I wrote in the first page of this book and its contents are protected by the attorney-client privilege. And I wrote into the book the following language. I have been instructed by my attorney to keep track of my injuries stemming from someone else's negligence, and accordingly, all of the contents of my personal injury journal are privileged communications between my attorney and I. And if and when I have given a copy of any page of my personal injury journal, I will write on the footnote below that page the first date that I gave a copy of that page to anyone other than my attorney and who I gave it to. And then right below this paragraph is a place for you and me to sign the page to prove to anyone, especially a court, that everything in this book was requested by me, your attorney, and is now shielded from disclosure. And below the signature line, the book says, as a client of our law firm, you have the privilege to refuse to disclose the contents of your personal injury journal. This journal is being created and used for the proper rendition of legal services to you from us. It says also, remember that if you disclose the contents of your personal injury journal to a third party, you will waive the confidentiality privilege and the insurance defense lawyer will be able to see that page of your journal. Once I ask you to please keep a journal, anything you write in the journal is protected and not to be disclosed. However, I have also designed the book to share or ask you to share and encourage you to share some pages of your journal with your doctors. For example, your prior medical history treatment is something that you want to share with your doctors and you want to help them understand what's going on to increase the full value of your case, because your medical history is very important to everyone to know. So the first part of your personal injury journal gives you a place to document your health status, your medications, any vitamins or supplements you take, your family health history, hospitalizations and emergency department visits, your current physicians, your prior doctors, any diagnostic tests, any surgeries, any prior accidents with injuries, pain diagram, sleep problems, and each of these pages of your journal are designed so that you can share these pages with your doctors. And if you show or copy any of these pages, there's a place on the bottom of each page to write the date when you shared this page and who you shared it with. And now you and I know those and only those pages you have chosen to waive your attorney-client privilege. And if anyone, including the insurance defense lawyers, want to see that page, we will gladly give them a copy of that page. However, there are other pages in the book that are designed not to be shared with anyone but me and my office. The pages I want to keep protected are your daily notes about how you feel that day, what medications you're taking that day, what doctors or procedures did you have on that day, how is your sleep, where are you having pain, what fears, concerns, and mental anguish are you feeling today? Has the weather affected how you feel? Are you having any memory problems? What you want me as your lawyer to know about your day, I want you to write down. Also, any inconveniences that you suffered because of your injuries. And I also want you to write down, what are you grateful for each day? There's also a pain scale for each day as well. Then about 30 days later, or which is 30 pages in your personal injury journal, I have 4 pages I've designed based upon the American Medical Association's Permanent Impairment Guide. The AMA forms will ask you to write down how your injuries are affecting your life beyond what your medical records say. First is what the AMA calls your activities of daily living, which are questions focusing on your activities of personal hygiene, dressing, eating, and moving around. Second is a set of questions called duties under duress, which are questions about your physical activities like climbing, lifting, dexterity, anxiety problems, which may come from your injuries, and how these types of problems affect your life. And third is called the loss of enjoyment of life questions. These questions focus on how the accident is affecting your ability to work, play sports, travel, and even do your favorite hobbies. The AMA recommends doctors to ask their patients about these 3 categories and how their injuries affect this parts of the patient's lives. Unfortunately, as you and I know, doctors are busy and hardly ever ask about how our injuries affect our lives. So to make it easy, I added a place to mark specific pages of your journal, and you can copy and share a copy of these specific pages with your doctors to help them document how your injuries are affecting your life outside of the doctor's office. I've also created a section in your journal to help keep track of your lost wages. It's a simple place to write down any time you miss work from your accident. And finally, I've saved a few places for you to keep track of 2 things the insurance company lawyers almost always ask. And they ask you for a list of things I rarely do now because of my injuries. And they also ask for a list of things I can still do but with difficulty or pain. The reason I've added these pages to your journal is to help you document what you rarely do and what you can do but with difficulty. You may ask, Matt, why is it important to keep a diary like this? The simple answer comes in 2 parts. First, documenting your prior medical history helps you, me, and all of your doctors understand how your past medical conditions have been aggravated by this accident. Because, as we know, your pre-existing conditions make your case more valuable because pre-existing conditions make you easier to hurt and harder to fix. When your doctors see your detailed and accurate prior treatment and medical history, it's easier for them to tell everyone the cause and severity of your current conditions. And second, over time, our memories won't be as accurate as the written words in your journal. Little details just drift away. I've seen when we were preparing for your deposition or trial how your personal injury journal will make it a lot easier for you to remember and explain all the damages you've suffered in your case. With your help writing how you feel from day to day, I can explain to a mediator, a defense lawyer, a judge, or even a jury in much greater detail what has happened to you. As your attorney, your journal helps me ask you and your doctors and the defense witnesses better questions to fully explain the many challenges you are forced to deal with caused by someone else's negligence. Your notes in your journal will probably tell me things I don't know about you or things I would have never thought to even ask you about. The bottom line is this: your journal will be important for your case. And let me share with you a real life example of how not using a lawyer requested personal injury journal created a potentially big problem. Several years ago, before I invented the client attorney personal injury journal, I had a 24-year-old female client who was involved in a significant crash. Her doctors recommended she undergo a discectomy and fusion surgery in her neck, but she tells me she feels like she does not want to have a surgery because her friends who underwent the same surgery still have ongoing pain. So on her own, without my request, she kept a daily journal of her pain. And then she gave me 50 handwritten pages of her notes. And when she gave me her notes, part of me was grateful she had tracked her feelings and her pain and her difficulty, but the other part of me was afraid that her notes seemed kind of self-serving or whiny, or like her journal said too much. Fortunately, the defense never asked or knew about her journal, and I was glad we did not have to turn over everything that she had written. Her personal diary did help me explain her problems. They helped me ask better questions with her before and after witnesses to fully paint a picture of what she was going through. And I was also able to use her notes with a focus group and found out what to focus on and what to leave out of her case. I'm glad to say her case came across beautifully, but it would have been a disaster if the defense had asked for and gotten to see her full diary. Her notes were personal, and the defense lawyers would have likely harped on some things she wrote and taken her notes out of context to make her look like she wrote the journal just to get sympathy or to exaggerate her injuries. Since that case, I decided to create the attorney-client privilege personal injury journal. Now, anything you write down about your injuries is fully protected from disclosure to the defense lawyers. By using your journal, you and I can easily refresh our memories about the challenges you have been dealing with. You have made it easier for me to more clearly and succinctly explain important details about the many problems you experience. With your help, I will be able to create a detailed timeline of your pain and treatments to show anyone what you're going through. It helps me help your friends who will be your before and after witnesses remember and share important details about your life. Your before and after witnesses will help your jury or the mediator understand what has happened to you, and your personal injury journal helps us explain all of the things that you have lost. It helps me picture in my mind what you're going through and helps me ask for and collect photographs that are more capable of showing the challenges you are faced to deal with every day. And since you wrote your notes every day without any knowledge that you might be spied upon by the insurance company's surveillance investigators, that when we see the surveillance, we can put into context what you were doing on those days and how you were feeling. So your journal helps everyone understand how you were feeling before and after you were spied on. So let me add a few more pieces of information or instructions about how to use your journal and protect your rights. People often ask me, who can I show the journal to? We want you to keep your journal private. Don't share it with others because you will waive the attorney-client privilege. Please only show your journal to me and my office staff. Please bring your journal with you to all of our in-person meetings. Please don't let friends read your journal, or else this will be a waiver of your privilege. However, there are some pages that I do want you to share with your healthcare providers. It's okay to make a copy of those specific pages in your journal and give just those pages to your doctor. This means you will be waiving your attorney-client privilege to those specific pages only and not the other pages in your journal. And what if you can't write or you need help to write and record your feelings? Do you waive your privilege by having help? The answer is no. It is perfectly okay to have someone write for you when you are unable to do so yourself. Getting writing help does not waive your attorney-client privilege. One common question people ask me is if there are any exceptions to the attorney-client privilege, like asking for a friend, okay? Yes, if a client seeks advice from an attorney to assist with the furtherance of a crime or fraud, or after the crime or fraud, and asks for advice to conceal the crime, then the communication is not privileged. Okay, thank you for watching my video explaining how and why the use of a personal injury journal helps us both prove your case. If you have more questions, please call my office. Our team will be glad to answer any questions you may have. Thank you for your help in keeping an accurate record of what you're going through. And if you want to buy a personal injury journal, you can find this journal on Amazon. Just click on the link below, and when you buy your journal, please talk with your lawyer and have them sign the page to make it official that this journal is protected by your attorney-client privilege.